Okay, good morning, everybody. I am going to introduce a new project called 95.1, which is called the Big Ideas Awesome Review Project. We got a little instruction from school just saying that there might be a lot of things going on for a lot of people, including myself, with other responsibilities besides just doing schoolwork all day. Got it, no problem. Totally understand. Some people have siblings, some people have other things going on. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have this project, what we're going to do, and it's gonna have like an extended due date. It's basically like from 2 weeks from now. It's like happens during like the middle of April break, to give everybody enough time to work on this. So if I'm looking at this project, it says Big Ideas Awesome Review Project, and it says directions: answer the learning targets using visuals and words and bring them to life. Use Adobe Spark Post for your responses. You have a lot of freedom with this, but quality is the most important. So each part should have its own Spark Post. So let me just show you what I mean. So like if you look at my directions here, it just says make sure the big deal is use icons and photos. So I have over here, I have some pictures of icons and photos that I've used from Adobe Spark Post, which is super easy to use. Okay, so let's just go over into the actual document itself and check out some of the things that are going with it. So the Big Ideas Review Project is, again, I'll just do the directions again. Answer the learning targets using visuals and words to bring them to life. Use Adobe Spark Post for your responses. You do have a lot of freedom with it, so it's very important that it's just all about quality. I'm not interested, as you already can see, it's like due in 2 weeks. I'm not interested how fast you can get it done. I'm interested in how accurate and how well you can get it done. So each part should have its own Spark Post, and I'll let you know what I mean by that, okay? So looking at this thing, it says a few tips. So make sure that when you start off with your new Adobe Spark post that it's going to use the Facebook cover. That's like the best looking one. And when you're searching for photos, you're going to use find free photos. That's the best one to use. And then when you use icons, that's the other feature that's in there, but I think you've used that before. So let me just get into an example of what these things look like. So this first one says part 1, historical thinking, learning targets. Okay, so these are the things that you're going to answer. Like you're going to answer all these into one of these. Okay, so let me just show you what that should look like. So if we look at this first one, it says, what is history? Now here's like a big note. Big. Don't, and I'm going to be looking on the internet for this very thing. Don't just write in a Google search, what is history, and then copy and paste the first answer that you see. Don't copy the second answer, third, fourth, fifth answer, sixth answer. I actually want you to go and actually find a response. You might be actually going into a website, okay? That's just way too lazy just to find the first thing that you search for. That's not what this is intended for the project, okay? So what I want you to do is like, so what is history? You might have to read a couple things to get to it, okay? So let me just show you how this works. So I'm just gonna like say, I'm just going to say this is like number 1, okay? So I'm going to give you my example. I answered number 1 right here. So it says, what is history? History is the study of the past, specifically the people, societies, events, and problems of the past. It also highlights the great achievements and disastrous eras of the human race. So like that was my response. I found, part of it online here and there, pieced it together, okay? And again, it's big deal. Don't use first search hit, okay? Don't just find the first search hit. I'm going to be looking for that. If you do that kind of stuff, I'm just going to give you a 0, okay? So another thing to do is, like here's number 2. How does point of view affect it? And I'm talking about history. So like let's just say I'm going to give that one like number 2. So number 2 is like answered right here, okay? So let me zoom in what I wrote here. So like how does point of view affect history? Well, I wrote, in history there are different points of view, okay? So like you remember when we talked about Sure D maybe. For his perspective, total control is great. But from the people's perspective, it's terrible. So like look at this cartoon I just happened to find. So this guy's stranded on an island, and he's like, oh yes, a boat to maybe get out of here. And he sees him in the distance. This guy's on the boat, looking at the guy on the desert island, being like, land. So like each one of them thinks it's like good, but it just depends on which perspective you're looking at, okay? That's how I answered number 2. So if I went on to number 3, it would be this one. What sources do historians use to learn about the past? Let's just call that number 3. I did that one right here, okay? So how I answered that one is I wrote, historians use primary sources to learn about the past. And then I found pictures right here of coins from the past. So I see this one I did a search. So you got to be creative with your searches. So let me just show you a couple of things here. So this one right here, that little clock. I mean that's history, or that's I think I wrote timeline. This is just an arrow. This one right here was search. Like I did a search term or an icon search for search, and that's what I showed up with. And then over in the right hand column, or in the right hand bottom part, I wrote the name of the title of the piece, which is Part 1, Unit 1, Historical Thinking. So again, if you do a search for an icon for any of these things, you're not going to find that. You got to be better with your search terms. Okay, you're not going to find an icon for sources. What sources do historians use to learn about the past? That's not how it works. You need to think about, find that answer, and then piece it together. I could just picture some of you just sitting back being like, I did a search for historians about the past and didn't find it. No, that's not what you're searching for. You're searching for, find that it's primary sources, and then get some examples of primary sources. And then when you do a search on Adobe Spark, you have something good to look with, okay? So here's an example for number 2. First civilization. So here's Part 2, Unit 2. First civilizations. Look at this learning target. What was life like during the Paleolithic era? Okay, so you could do that search online. Again, don't just copy and paste the first thing you saw, because what you're going to find is something that's really wordy and too long. I ended up writing this. So these two go together. So it says people were nomadic, hunted and gathered during the Paleolithic era. I just straight up answer it. Okay, and then I did an icon search. If you look right here, so this is my icons. Hang on one sec. These are the icons I found. I actually did an icon search for nomadic, okay? And then for this one, oddly enough, I did an icon search for paleo, and I just happened to find this, which is pretty accurate. It looks like a mammoth, which those guys would have been hunting. Some of the other things aren't going to be relevant in there. You're going to see a lot of pieces of chicken, icons of chickens. That might work, but it might not work, okay? So, don't just find the obvious search term. You might need to look for other terms to help you find the perfect icon, okay? So, look at this next one. It says, what was life like, what was the Neolithic Revolution? Okay, so I kind of answer that one over here. So it says, river valleys turned into civilizations. And I found, right here, I'll just show you what I found for my search things. So I did that's a river icon. That's a river valley icon. That's that's Egypt icon. And then, this is obviously just an arrow. But that's how I pieced it all together, okay? And then just so you know, I wrote in the corner, Unit 2, Part 2, Unit 2, First Civilizations. That's just an example to get you going on the second one. And then there's the third one, which is Classical Civilizations. And so it says you got to do two separate. This is one Adobe Spark post. So do one for this one, and then you need to do one for this one. Okay. So same thing. Answer all these questions using Adobe Spark. Answer all these questions using Adobe Spark, and that would be it. Okay. So we're gonna host a Google Meet on Wednesday at noon, and I will post that on our update. So if you would like some additional questions answered, please don't bombard with emails today. What you can do is you can wait till Wednesday if you have additional questions, or you can just figure it out or ask a classmate. But so Google Meet, someone's gonna write on there. So we're gonna have a Google Meet, a meet. So that's gonna be Wednesday at noon, 12 p.m. And then what we'll do is we'll put the link out Wednesday morning, because it has to be live for that day. So you have to just wait till Wednesday morning to get the link, okay? I'm going to write wait for link, okay? Wait for link, okay? All right, cool. All right, sweet. So everybody have a good day, and talk to you later.